I kept quiet for a long time, but my mother-in-law has always been extra. Self-involved, an Italian matriarch, yes. Her demanding nature, once tolerated as eccentricity, is now, after an unbearable loss, utterly intolerable. I desperately need advice to navigate this agonizing new chapter. My husband and I were friends forever. We lived together for 18 months, our bond deepened. We intentionally tried for a baby, conceiving with joy. We married in May, full of dreams. Then, in July, our world shattered. At 36 weeks, our daughter was stillborn on his birthday, an unbearable agony. Grief consumes us. Yet, even in our deepest sorrow, my mother-in-law centers herself relentlessly. This pattern, deeply ingrained, traces back 20 years to her husband's death, my husband's father, a fact she often overlooks. His passing transformed her into a self-appointed universe's axis, accustomed to catering, her feelings magnified and indulged. The anniversary of his death is an annual emotional siege. She expects everyone, including her sons, to cheer her up. My husband, for years, bore an immense financial burden. He lived with her, paying for nearly everything. Even now, as we build our own life, we still cover most of her expenses. My family is a source of complicated emotions, a tangled web of deep resentments. While my sister often benefits from our unwavering support, her brother does not. I'm not sure why this disparity exists, a painful issue we anticipate confronting. My sister has spun a deceptive tale, painting my husband as uncaring, a man who never offers a hand or pays for anything. This narrative is a lie. She withheld her needs from him, then weaponized his perceived inaction. She'd rise before dawn, shoveling snow with theatrical urgency, to imply he neglected his duties. Her deception became undeniable when his cousin approached me. She hoped I would intervene, urging my husband to offer more help. I was disgusted by her manipulative ploy. I dismantled that false perception, clarifying her accusations were unfounded. I bore this burden alone, shielding my husband from the brutal truth that would only wound him. This manipulation runs deep, a tragic echo of a profound wound. I am estranged from my maternal family, a painful, necessary severing. My mother, a narcissist, displays every hallmark of untreated borderline personality disorder. My therapists, my step-siblings' therapists, even my father's therapist all concur. Yet, she'll never seek a formal diagnosis. Her delusion is absolute. She dismisses mental health as illusion and fears a permanent record that could condemn her. This pervasive denial, this refusal to face reality, defines her existence, casting a long shadow, a generational curse I'm determined to break, an abuser. I went no contact, a desperate act of self-preservation, then was cruelly written off by everyone else. I won't detail her specifics, it's not about giving her power. This separation was long overdue, an inevitable break. Those who know my harrowing story are surprised I endured her. A glorious decade has passed since I reclaimed peace. My only regret is not going NC sooner. The wasted years ache. My mill knew I was NC, and without respect, broadcast my private truth to all. This triggered unwelcome interventions. Misguided individuals, fueled by her narrative, lectured me. You only get one mother, and she'll die someday. I gave examples of her depravity, clarifying, she is not a normal mother. What a tragic shame she is mine. I often confessed, I am heartened by the knowledge her destructive presence won't torment this world forever. Then, a striking conversation. My mill confided when her other son married, she felt no joy, gaining no daughter. Instead, she felt she had lost a son, desiring to inflict this cruel sentiment directly upon him. I asked, would he receive that well? What do you truly desire? Her self-pitying answer. I want intentional time. I suggested, with a weary sigh, she simply ask him, a direct request, devoid of her usual manipulation, a concept alien to her. This unending emotional struggle persists. I kept quiet for a long time, but my mother-in-law's actions, even now, still sting. I remember suggesting an open conversation with her son, my husband, to help her embrace our marriage. She thought it was a wonderful idea. A week later, her report shattered my hopes. The discussion had gone horribly, she confessed, because she felt she hadn't gained a daughter but instead had lost her precious son. This pattern of emotional manipulation was not new. My mother-in-law had a habit of broadcasting every private conversation we shared to anyone who would listen. Early in our relationship, we had a minor disagreement that escalated into a spectacle. I had made a light-hearted, clearly teasing joke about a business being a money laundering operation. When she denied it, I merely winked and quipped, "Okay, whatever you say." She flew into a rage, convinced I had questioned her very integrity. She then spread this distorted tale far and wide, ironically making herself appear erratic and unhinged to others. I offered an immediate apology, but she deliberately blew it into a huge family drama. When we joyously announced our pregnancy, her first question wasn't about our happiness, but a flat demand. Could she tell her cousin? It was always about her. During my pregnancy, her constant, unwelcome touching became a trial I tried to endure with grace. My best friend lovingly organized a baby shower for me. My mother-in-law offered no help whatsoever, then showed up with a paltry number of favors that completely missed the theme, a small but sharp jab. I try to keep quiet, but the bitterness of that time still burns. Especially when I recall her endless pursuit of attention, often without consulting anyone, a true waste of our time and money. We chose a simple path, marrying quietly a week before our baby moon, transforming it into a somber honeymoon. It was a small, intimate affair, just 15 souls, yet even then, my mother-in-law managed to diminish it. She arrived in a white blazer, the very same one she'd flaunted at her niece's bridal shower exactly a year prior. Her blatant lack of consideration felt like a deliberate insult, a stark forecast of the pain she'd later inflict. Then, my world shattered. A terrifying stillness replaced my daughter's vibrant movements. We rushed to the hospital, hope battling a crushing dread, only to confirm our worst fears. Our sweet girl had passed. A grueling 36-hour induction followed, and I delivered our silent angel vaginally on her father's birthday. Amidst this raw, overwhelming grief, his mother insisted on coming to the hospital. It was his birthday, a day already steeped in tragedy, and I simply lacked the strength to oppose his wishes. Only his family arrived, his mother, brother, and sister. My own family, distant and painfully absent, only amplified the sting of isolation, making every subsequent slight from her cut deeper. She walked into the delivery room, a sacred space still echoing with my pain, the floor marked by the raw, undeniable evidence of my ordeal. Without a trace of empathy, she surveyed the scene and dared to ask, "Is there food?" "I'm starving, and this room smells awful." Her sheer disregard for my suffering was an unerasable scar. I may forgive, but I will never forget, our world shattered, hearts broken. In unimaginable grief, we shared our baby's name and chosen nickname, hoping for some connection. Instead, she instantly demanded a middle name. We hadn't forced one, a truth I gently explained. Her response was a sharp wave of anger. She then declared a joke about the name. I anticipated something silly, perhaps the phonetic similarity we'd noted, nickname and last name quickly sound like a food. "Is it that?" I asked, a sliver of hope. Her cold no extinguished it. With astonishing gall, she voiced outrage that we dared name her grandchild after the very neighbor she despised most. I clarified, my voice trembling, that the name honored my own beloved grandmother. Later, the compassionate hospital staff, angels in our darkest hour, presented a beautiful memory box. A cherished comfort, but even this was tainted. Her eyes fixed on the baptism certificate. She launched into a harsh, unforgivable tirade. Not a sacrament, not a real baptism, because our baby wasn't alive. The words were a physical blow. Did she truly believe I needed reminding? Of course I knew my baby was gone. I had literally birthed her lifeless body. No soul on earth understood the crushing finality of her absence more profoundly than I did. Her cruelty was boundless, an insult etched permanently into my fractured soul. I was utterly shattered. Grief enveloped me, thick and suffocating, in the painful aftermath of birth. It was the happiest and saddest day of my life, a cruel paradox I couldn't fully process. About a week after returning home, the grim reality demanded our attention: funeral arrangements. It was near her house, so we stopped by. My husband went upstairs, perhaps seeking a moment alone. I sat, heavy with sorrow, when she began to speak, her words cutting through my fragile peace. She barraged me with questions, asking why I hadn't chosen the same doctors as my sister-in-law. My heart ached, but I explained I prioritized providers affiliated with a hospital boasting a superior NICU. God forbid we needed it, I couldn't bear separation from my medically fragile newborn. My husband and I, both in healthcare, are well-versed in discerning quality care. We had no criticisms of our chosen team. Still, she relentlessly criticized our decision not to pursue an autopsy. We'd explained, with conviction, that our daughter was a whole, precious person deserving of dignity. We knew nothing more could be gleaned from her body that we couldn't find within ourselves. Her relentless scrutiny felt a cruel violation of our profound sorrow, a shocking lack of empathy. The wounds of loss were still so fresh, and her judgment only deepened the chasm between us. We desperately sought solace, not further interrogation. This unique burden was ours alone to bear, a deep pain she couldn't comprehend, to find other ways, knowing that even if answers surfaced, they wouldn't truly benefit our child. Her existence isn't a mere data point to inform a future pregnancy. She is our very loved, very wanted, very missed first child. Note, our stillbirth was and is tragically unexplained. We made the agonizing decision not to pursue further testing, instead devising a robust plan for future pregnancies, with the maximum conceivable monitoring, short of imprisoning me in a hospital for 9 months. Yet, she pressed on, asking another question, its cruel words now escaping me. My voice, strained with mounting dread, cracked as I declared, "I don't want to do this. I feel like I'm being interrogated." Tears welled, blurring my vision, and she assured me she would not push. But then, the knife twisted. "How long was it from when you last felt the baby move before you went to the hospital?" There's no way that landed as anything other than insidious blame. She might have sought answers, but I am still utterly appalled she asked that. I ran out of the room and locked myself in the bathroom. I told my husband we should leave, but again, he was in the bathroom, my husband had retreated upstairs, leaving me in a quiet torment alone. I reached out to friends, seeking escape. Their counsel, some shockingly drastic, others merely urging flight, resonated. I simply left. I needed to breathe deeply. Meanwhile, my husband confronted his mother. He unleashed his fury, reminding her she was meant to be our pillar of support, not a nosy, blaming saboteur. She was dropping the ball. If she dared to seek details, she would have to ask him directly, and she knew he would offer none. He wouldn't betray my trust. Lost in a fog of despair, I wandered the neighborhood aimlessly, waiting for an Uber to whisk me away. My husband found me. He pulled up, asking if I wished to get in. He questioned what had happened, but I turned it back, challenging him. "Tell me what asterisk you believe occurred." This was our first true clash, Mill and I. A wave of profound relief washed over me as he unequivocally chose my side. He relayed her admission. She knew she was wrong, had acted foolishly. I confessed my burden. His father's death, a story told 8 times, 7 times too often. He had been ill for a long, painful my baby died. That raw grief still echoes, amplified by a callous remark disguised as curiosity, a memory that makes my blood run cold. Profound insensitivity led to a comment about a family member's hurried errand. I reacted sharply, explaining I was no sociopath to pry, to question regret on a day our world shattered into a million pieces. The family's pathological focus on feelings became an unbearable weight. Our baby was gone. This was no day for anything but profound, all-consuming sorrow. Her text apology arrived, but its hollowness resonated with me. "I won't bother you until you want me to," she declared, immediately playing the victim. It negated any shred of genuine remorse, a manipulative tactic I saw through instantly. My husband then endured her incessant calls all day, and my fury mounted. I drafted a message, a powerful shield against her intrusive probing. I will not relive my trauma for anyone's idle curiosity. I desperately need support, not an interrogation. Yet wisdom prevailed. My husband, sensing she would never receive it well, convinced me not to send it. Instead, I called. "I forgive you," I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "But we will discuss this in the future." 3 agonizing months have since passed, and that crucial conversation remains unspoken, a gaping wound. In the interim, she has spun a distorted tale to our entire extended family, claiming she simply doesn't comprehend why I became so upset when she was only trying to. The raw ache of my daughter's loss was deepened by a relative's heartless judgment. Amidst my deepest grief, she audaciously suggested better doctors. My brother-in-law, knowing my pain, fiercely confronted her. His righteous anger made it unequivocally clear she was unforgivably wrong, barely deserving my interaction again. It was a sharp, necessary defense. During my acute grief, my loyal friends tried to set up a meal train. She remained utterly silent. No visit, despite living 30 minutes away. No single meal. I don't know what, if anything, she truly offered my husband, or if he, in his own despair, quietly declined. Her hollow, "Let me know if you need anything," was a cruel, empty taunt. I was too broken to identify, let alone articulate, any possible need. Asking was simply beyond my reach. She later declared she was no longer worried about me because I was easier to be around now. My grief, my dead baby's memory, was merely her discomfort, now thankfully eased. Then, without asking, she and other family decided to give me space. This forced isolation trapped me for agonizing months. My husband returned to work, leaving me alone, battling the constant, devastating urge to join my daughter. But I fight on, sustained by extensive therapy, psychiatric support, and a dedicated group, all deeply aware of my enduring struggle. A profound vow made to my husband to stay, I have honored it. Just 6 weeks postpartum, medically cleared, I met with my MFM. The green light was given to try again whenever I felt ready. I conceived immediately, a deep happiness blooming at its swiftness. This new life, due 44 weeks after their sister was born, carries a heavy resonance. Pregnancy, after a loss like that, a completely unexplained 36-week stillbirth, is truly more terrifying than anything. I am a constant wreck. My dedicated doctors, my steadfast husband, and my mental health team are all immensely supportive. My sister-in-law conceived twins just a week after our daughter died, and she's due 5.5 weeks ahead of me. She is truly wonderful, so supportive, and genuinely understands my experience isn't one of excitement, but rather one of holding my breath, desperately trying to grasp hope, joy, and profound grief in the same trembling hand. I have absolutely no criticisms of her. This is merely added for context. Her physique is naturally very skinny. I, on the other hand, am not a skinny person. My mother-in-law has commented on her body to me a couple of times. She simply cannot believe she's showing so much. Though the memory still burns. Just weeks after my daughter's unbearable loss, and only 10 weeks pregnant again, a conversation shattered my peace. She paused, her gaze fixed on my abdomen, an eyebrow slowly arching. Exposed and vulnerable, I tried to deflect, muttering about our body's wild, uncontrollable changes. She wasn't listening. Her next words, unsettlingly cheerful, struck me like a cruel blow. She asked my birthing preference. I explained my hope for a safe vaginal birth, yet my firm resolve for an immediate C-section if any uncertainty arose. My intervention threshold, I emphasized, was minimal. Still, her eyes fixed on my midsection, she declared, "People bounce back more quickly from C-sections." She cited her own experience, bragging she was back to her pre-pregnancy body in 3 weeks postpartum. "Something to consider," she added, a chilling implication. This was body shaming, 14 weeks after her grandchild's stillbirth, my child's, discussed a bitter taste. Then an abrupt shift. "Keeping the gender a surprise?" she asked. "Probably not," I admitted. "We knew our daughter's gender. I'd wanted a surprise then, but my husband wished to know." Now, I'm profoundly grateful for that knowledge, for the precious gift of knowing her a little before her heart tragically stopped. If I'd learned of her death before knowing her gender, before that small, intimate connection, the grief would have been an even deeper, blacker abyss. That tiny knowledge became a fragile comfort. I refused to be shamed for my body, my choices, my enduring grief, the raw, unending ache of losing my daughter. A girl who never drew a single breath defines my entire motherhood. My sister-in-law, radiant in her pregnancy, chose not to discover the baby's gender. I shared a burning truth with her. Our only true happy surprise would be if this baby is actually born alive. My fervent desire is to bring this child home safely in a car seat, not a cold, empty urn. She branded my honesty as negativity that could harm her baby. But how is my recent, lived experience, my soul journey into motherhood, to be dismissed as mere negativity? My therapists and I know it isn't. I cannot toxic positivity my beloved stillborn child back to life. If I could, I would tear the world apart. I would truly do anything. I am beyond people-pleasing. I performed for comfort and fragile safety for too long. That capacity within me is now shattered. When she pressed me about telling my family, I replied with stark finality, "Perhaps never. They abandoned us completely when our daughter died." She retorted they'd figure it out eventually. I see them biannually at most, now even less. My brother and his wife welcomed a living son 3 short weeks after my own daughter's silent passing, a constant, searing wound. My truth, forged in this profound loss, is all I have left. I will not betray it. I kept quiet for a long time, but this story still makes my blood boil. My mother introduced herself, then dissolved into defensive fury. She laughed, a sound devoid of warmth, before accusing me of causing her pain, claiming deep hurt for not being invited after my daughter died. Her attempt to spin my agony into her own grievance was a sick betrayal. My voice, though trembling, held firm. I plainly stated, I invited no one. She branded me a liar, insisting it couldn't be true since friends were present. Her casual dismissal, her outright denial ignited fierce anger. I clarified, tone hardening. Those weren't friends, they were my chosen family. They didn't receive invitations, but simply arrived, selflessly, taking shifts to sit with me. Every soul, myself included, feared I would succumb to grief. They came to save me, not to socialize. Adding insult, we now shoulder the financial weight of her old home, paying rent for her new apartment. The imbalance is glaring. Then came the hurtful comparison. My mother, dismissive, declared she couldn't burden her other son because he has a child. The words pierced me. I have a child too. My daughter, though gone, is no less my child, no less precious. While she dismisses my grief as having no ongoing expenses, my lost child remains as profoundly mine as her living grandchild is theirs. Her memory deserves recognition. I am crying rage tears even now, typing this. In a flicker of false grace, she justified. She only truly understood my plight upon learning of the twins, implying prior ignorance. But that fragile thread shattered. She dared to imply my earlier, singular pregnancy, ending in devastating loss, was less valid. My daughter's precious life reduced to a footnote. No grace in such callousness, only a gaping void of a mother's absence. My resolve hardens against her. I have held my breath too long. This pushes me past all limits. Her words, without apology, still sting. We all stumble, say thoughtless things, especially to grieving parents. Most realize and quickly apologize. She didn't. That moment haunts me. Now she's downsized. We're fixing her old home, a true nightmare. Decades of smoke cling everywhere. Mice, roaches infest every corner. The floors, ruined, warped by her dog's unchecked urination. That dog, we're keeping him, he's in board and train. Yet I'm called heartless for insisting on his training. They claim I'm cruel, simply for preventing further destruction, especially after immense damage to those floors. Honestly, seeing this house, I'd assume she couldn't care for herself. It's that bad. Her interference is constant. She questions every choice. I haven't asked for input, yet she shows up, telling our contractors her way. My tolerance for her is non-existent. I want nothing to do with her. I'm utterly drained. Dealing with this endless conflict, I've faced more trials than anyone should in a lifetime, all converging at once. Amidst this storm, pregnancy offered a fragile spark of hope for the future, yet it simultaneously intensified my grief, twisting it into something almost unbearable. Beyond the grief, my body itself triggers my PTSD. The shadow of PPD looms large, and acute stress reactions are my constant companions. I've started part-time work, hoping for normalcy. But every task feels an immense burden. Minimizing stress is now an impossible mission. Thankfully, I've secured a doula for this pregnancy, a small beacon of medical reassurance. My greatest struggle lies in setting boundaries, particularly with her. Our three beloved cats, ironically, are a built-in deterrent due to her allergies. A deep part of me yearns to keep my induction plan a secret, to shield this sacred moment. I fantasize about deflecting her attention onto my sister-in-law and her twins, hoping this buys me the solitude I crave. I just want her to leave me alone. I often question my sensitivity, but my mother's past toxic behavior sharpened my awareness, making manipulative patterns undeniable. This immense weight, these relentless battles, press down daily. I'm fighting for my peace, for my baby, and for my sanity. Articulating these raw truths, sharing this burden, offers a sliver of solace in this overwhelming time. My husband, my steadfast anchor, truly is an angel sent to me. Without his unwavering presence, I could not have survived the profound grief of losing our precious daughter. He offers a sanctuary for my soul, a wellspring of boundless support. Our shared sorrow, rather than tearing us apart, forged an unbreakable bond, drawing us much closer. He has always maintained a strict information diet with his mother, instinctively understanding her nature. He readily admits she's a handful, declaring her out of her mind. When issues arise, I carefully frame my concerns, always focusing on her specific actions, asking how he would navigate such situations. My deepest fear was forcing him into a defensive stance or making him feel torn between us. Yet, he explicitly reassured me, time and again, we are his family. His mother is merely a responsibility he carries. Perhaps because he presents an inscrutable front, she often turns her relentless efforts to extract information directly on me, sometimes with intensified aggression. I've mastered the art of gray rocking, presenting a neutral facade at all times. Regarding her cruel body commentary, I pleaded with him to shut down any such remarks immediately, should he ever hear them directed at anyone. He affirmed, without hesitation, that he would gladly intervene. Still, I must acknowledge one fleeting moment of grace, a glimpse of humanity within her. When my brother-in-law and sister-in-law shared news of their twin, she showed profound concern for us. Her guidance on gently sharing the news was invaluable. It granted us space to truly show up for them, exactly how we wished, despite any initial, painful reaction. I deeply cherish her wise counsel.